Treehouse of Horror 31 is the 4th episode of the 32nd season of The Simpsons. This episode is directed by Stephen Dean Moore, and I'd say it's a pretty average Treehouse of Horror. I didn't love it, but at the same time, there wasn't anything that I found boring. So it's not the high quality that we get from some, but actually, I didn't mind it too much. So as always, I will go through each segment, talk about things that I liked, things that I think maybe could have been done differently. So there will be spoilers from this point on. And the intro, the opening, is, well, Election Day 2020, which is pretty interesting. And I imagine quite an intense way to start the episode. It is quite brief. It's certainly a very fascinating introduction. I didn't mind it. It's not the most fun or light-hearted, but it worked quite well to start off a Treehouse of Horror. The first segment is Toy Gory, which is of course a parody of Toy Story, and honestly, I thought it was pretty fabulous. The actual animation style is very different to the Simpsons style, and Bart is sorting through his toys, and he's given a radioactive man, and he puts it in the microwave, and, well, as you can imagine, it doesn't survive, and the other toys are all furious with what Bart has done, so they decide to get revenge. And it's dark, and I love it, and it's fabulous. It's great fun. It's really entertaining, very well animated, a strong first segment. The second segment is Into the Homerverse, obviously a parody of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And here we have, I think it was 6 different Homers, if I remember correctly, different various Homers from the multiverse. The narrative itself, I didn't care for. I didn't think it was very interesting, but I liked the creativity of these different versions of Homer. I thought that was quite fun. So I didn't love watching it, but the animation I found was entertaining enough. So not a brilliant segment. The narrative I found to be really dull, but we did get a mention of Debbie Reynolds. Debbie Reynolds is playing a character called Rosie in the musical The Swellest Slum, and I'm not actually sure who voiced Debbie Reynolds in this because the character isn't credited on IMDb. So if anybody can confirm who it is, please feel free to let me know. It's not the biggest likeness to Debbie, but I still absolutely adore it. And then we have the third segment, and I thought this was interesting. It's actually a parody of Russian Doll, which I haven't seen, but it does feel like several other films that I've seen, including Happy Death Day. It felt very similar to that. And Lisa is having a birthday party for her 9th birthday, and she keeps dying. And the day keeps starting over and over again. And the same thing is happening to Nelson, and they both have to try and work out what on earth's going on. And I thought it was relatively fun. It's an interesting enough concept. As a film, when films do that kind of thing, I really enjoy that. So that kind of narrative really appeals to me. And I thought they did a decent enough job of it in the segment. It's never going to be one of my favourite Treehouse of Horror segments, but all things considered, I thought it worked quite well. So none of these I loved. I thought the animation of Toy Gory was pretty good, but in terms of the 3 segments, I found them to be about average, maybe slightly above average based on the most recent Treehouse of Horrors. Definitely not my favourites, but I didn't mind them. It's actually been a while. I think the last Treehouse of Horror I really liked, but the last several before that were kind of weak. So to have one where actually I didn't find any problems with it is a pretty good thing. I wouldn't mind watching it again. Treehouse of Horror 31 may not be the best Treehouse of Horror, but there are a lot of good things there. There's a lot of quality to it, and in general, I really enjoyed it.